නමෝ තස්ස භගවතෝ අරහතෝ සම්මා සම්බුද්දස්ස නමෝ තස්ස භගවතෝ අරහතෝ සම්මා සම්බුද්දස්ස නමෝ තස්ස භගවතෝ අරහතෝ සම්මා සම්බුද්දස්ස සුභානුපස්සී විහරන්තං ඉන්ද්‍රියේසු අසංඋතං භෝජනම් හි අමත්තඤ්ඤුං කුසීතං හීන වීරියං තං වේ පසහති මාරෝ වාතෝ රුක්ඛංව දුම්බලං අසුභානුපස්සී විහරන්තං ඉන්ද්‍රියේසු සුසංඋතං භෝජනම් හිච මත්තඤ්ඤුං සද්ධං ආරද්ධ වීරියං තං වේ නප්ප සහති මාරෝ වාතෝ සේලංව පබ්බතන්ති. Dear Dhamma friends, today also I welcome all of you for today's Dhammapada sermon. We have been conducting a series of Dhamma talk with regard to the Dhammapada. So far we have already discussed up to Dhammapada verse number 7. So today we are going to discuss Dhammapada verse number 8 and 9. So the first verse, if I explain the simple meaning of the first verse, it talks about a disciple, a follower of the Buddha who is not following well. That's what it says. Subhanupassi viharanta. So that kind of a person, that means that kind of a disciple, Subhanupassi viharantang means he always pay attention, or he always consider only the pleasant side of the sensual pleasures. And also indriyesu asangutang means he is not controlled, he doesn't maintain the restrainment of the senses. Bhojanamhi amattanyu. Also, he doesn't know how moderately take the food. He doesn't know to maintain the moderation while having food. And also, kusitang means he is very lethargic. And hina viryam, he is having a less amount of energy, perseverance and determination, courage. You know, there are so many words can be used for the term virya. So somehow he has less amount of energy. Tang ve pasahati maro vato rukkhangu dubbalang. That kind of a person easily overpowered, overwhelmed by the mara. Here the mara means mental defilements or the corruptions which appear in the mind. So that is the weak disciple or weak practitioner. With the opposite of the first verse, second verse, it talks about a well practitioner, earnest practitioner. In the verse, it says about the earnest practitioner, how he is doing asubhanupassi viharantang. That means he always dwelling with asubhanupassana. Asubhanupassana in the sense considering or contemplating the unpleasant or the repulsive nature of the body. There is a bhavana or the meditative practice called Asubhanupassana. That means, you know, as beings, we have lustful thoughts. You know, we attach to the body, our own body as well as the other's body. That's why we maintain the desire or the lustful thoughts. So in order to subdue those lustful thoughts, we need to practice the Asubhanupassana, or just to contemplate the repulsiveness of the body. So the earnest practitioner, he always maintain that bhavana. He contemplate on the repulsiveness of the body. That's called Asubhanupassi Viharanta. And also Indriyesu Susammutam. That means he is well controlled. He is maintaining the restrainment of the senses. While seeing, he know the limits. While hearing, he know the limits. While smelling, while tasting food, while touching objects from the body, and also while thinking through the mind, he know the limits. With mindfulness, he know the limits. That's what called the controlling or the restraining of the senses. And also Saddhang Aradha Virya. And also he is having the Saddha. Saddha means confidence of the Buddha and the Dhamma. You know, we cannot find the exact meaning for the term Saddha from English. It's very hard. Some people say faith, some people say confidence, some people say devotion. I think most suitable word is confidence. Means it means that one learn about the Buddha and he knows the purpose of the Buddha. He knows exactly why the Buddha appeared to this world and what he has taught, and his teaching, the Dhamma, how can utilize to get the liberation. So he has the basic knowledge on the Buddha and the Dhamma. Therefore he not just believe, he exactly know that Buddha is true, Dhamma is true, as well as the Sangha is also true. So he has the Saddha. Also Aradha Viryam. Aradha Viryam mean initiated energy. Aradha mean initiated, Virya mean determination. He has that energy. That mean Aradha Virya mean it's not just the determination, energy. You know, he can maintain the same level of energy at the beginning as well as in the middle as well as at the end. Normally what has happened to the most of the disciples, when they begin the practice, they have the higher level of energy, but with the time it gradually decline. The level of energy gradually decline, and ultimately there is no energy at all. So they will be stuck in the middle while practicing. But this person is not like that. He is practicing and he is maintaining the same level of energy from the beginning up until the end. That's called Aradha Virya. Tangme nappa sahati maru. That type of a person is not overwhelmed or overpowered by the mental defilements. Here the mental defilements means the mara. Vato selango pabbatanti. Just like the rocky mountain cannot be shaken by the wind. You know, whatever the types of tornado or any kind of powerful wind cannot shake, cannot be shaken, cannot shake it cannot shake the rocky mountain. Similarly, whatever the corruptions, whatever the defilements, whatever the burdens, whatever the disturbances from both the external as well as the internal, which appears in the mind of the earnest practitioner, from them he is not shaken from the defilements. So that is the meaning of the second verse. So our great teacher uttered these verses with regard to two brother monks, namely Mahakala and Chulakala. So with them there is a beautiful story, nice story. Before they ordained as bhikkhus or as monks, they had a beautiful family. They had 3 brothers. The eldest one known as Mahakala, and the medium one or the middle one known as Majjimakala, and the youngest one known as Chulakala. So the wealthiest person is the elder one. He had 8 wives, and the second most one or the middle one, he had only 4 wives, and the youngest one, Chulakala, he had only 2 wives. In those days, if you have enough wealth, you can have any number of wives. So if you can maintain the number of wives, then accordingly you can choose. So that was happened in that way. So how they maintained their livelihood, the eldest one, Mahakala, as well as the youngest one, Chulakala, they are vendors, they are merchants. They were used to travel from city to city, collecting goods and items, valuable items, and they bring back them to the home. At that time, the middle brother or the Majjimakala, he used to sell things, sell those goods and items in that city. So that's how they just maintained their livelihood. So one day, while Chulakala and Mahakala, while they were collecting goods and items in the town of the Sathi, where the Buddha was living, the Mahakala noticed that some people in the city, morning time as well as in the evening time, going to a temple with flowers and fragrances and kind of things. So he just observed this specific behavior of the people and asked them what you are doing at that time. So the people responded that they are going to meet the Buddha and listen to the Dhamma. So immediately after hearing the name of the Buddha, Dhamma and the Sangha, he had the feeling that he felt that he needs to go and see the Buddha. So accordingly, he went to the Buddha and began to listen one of the sermon of the Buddha. So Buddha, with his supernormal or the divine capabilities, he observed this particular person, and according to his mental disposition, Buddha preached the Dhamma. It says, while preaching Dhamma, there is a sequence. People, some disciples are very intelligent, so they can immediately understand. They are called Udgaditanyu people. Udgaditanyu means there are some disciples who can immediately, if the Buddha talking about the Four Noble Truths and the deep Dhamma factors, immediately they can understand the Dhamma. So those are known as Udgaditanyu people. Second group of people known as Vipanchitanyu people. Vipanchitanyu means immediately they cannot understand the Dhamma. While listening a brief sermon, they cannot understand the Dhamma, but if the sermon briefly given and the meaning of the verses, meaning of the Dhamma thoroughly explains, then at that time they can understand. So they are known as Vipanchitanyu persons. Thirdly, third group of people known as Nyaya people. That means that immediately after a sermon, they cannot grab the meaning of the Dhamma, but after detailed explanation of Dhamma, that in that case also they cannot understand Dhamma. They have to practice from the beginning. They have to practice Sila or the morality, as well as the Samadhi, mean the concentration, or the mental equilibrium as well as the prajna. They have to practice step by step. Then they can understand the Dhamma. Those are known as the Nyaya people. And lastly, there are some practitioners known as Padaparama. Padaparama means, in this very life, whatever the amount of Dhamma, if they listen, still they cannot understand the Dhamma. Whatever the amount of energy that they have put while practicing, they cannot achieve any kind of results in the Dhamma. So those are known as Padaparama. Those are the 4 types of people. So Buddha, while preaching the Dhamma, according to their mindset, Buddha just preaching the Dhamma. So most of the people are Nyaya people. Nyaya means, they cannot immediately understand the Dhamma, so they have to listen Dhamma carefully. They have to listen to the explanations of the Dhamma, and they have to practice morality, samadhi and prajna as well. So they have to, step by step they have to practice. So Buddha accordingly preaches Dhamma. According to the mindsets of the people, Buddha preaching the Dhamma. So, when Buddha was doing sermons, he was talking about Dana Katha. I mean, he explains Dhamma factors about giving. Then he talks about Sila Katha, means the virtues, well-being of the verbal and physical activities. That's called Sila Sanvara. Sanvara means, controlling of the actions as well as the words. Mainly there are 3 factors. We have to avoid stealing, killing, as well as the sexual misbehavior. So that is known as the physical controlling, physical morality. As well as while we speaking, there are 4 types. Those are known as, we have to avoid lying, we have to avoid backbiting or the slandering, we have to avoid harsh speech, as well as we have to avoid the idle chatting. So those are the 4 types of sila, while with concern to the verbal behavior. So those are known as Sila Katha. So we have to practice Sila. Then Sagga Katha. Sagga Katha means Buddha talking about if we can reborn, if we can have a rebirth in the celestial realms, the benefit that we are getting. So Buddha accordingly, people who are not practicing Dhamma at all, they have the tendency to fall down in the hells, in the 4 types of niraya, 4 types of apaya, 4 types of hells. And when people hearing about the blessings and the comforts in the the blissful destinations like human world, in the Deva worlds, so people begin to avoid misbehavior, sins, unwholesome activities. So that's why Buddha just appreciating about the good destinations or the celestial rebirth. Buddha just advocating or just advising. That's why it talks about Sagga Katha. And also Buddha talking about Kamanang Adinava. That means, Kama mean the sensualities. Normally the nature of the being is to allure or the attach to the sensual objects or the sensualities. That is the normal tendency of the people or the beings. But it has tremendous amount of drawbacks. Those are called adinava. That means, if we maintain the sensualities, then we have to we have to consider a lot of things. If you if you have a family and if you have a children, with sensual pleasures, then we have to maintain them. We have to find foods, we have to find a job, we have to maintain. It's not a easy thing. We have to involve in a huge competition in order to maintain that things, that sensualities. But if we avoid, if we reduce the number of sensualities that you have, then accordingly you have to maintain very limited amount of things, light life. Then it will be easy for you to maintain your life. That's why Buddha just talking about the kamanang adivana, that means the drawbacks of the sensualities. And also okarang sankilesikang. Okaram mean the inferiority, the lawful nature of the defilements. When the mind corrupted or the defiled with bad thoughts or defilements, it's very hard, like it say like while we having sensual pleasures, sensual attachments, it seems like we are enjoying, but actually we are not enjoying. It feels like for us as normal beings, without ignorantly we feel that it is happy, but actually it's not happy. It's just like this. If I give you an simile, that suppose a person with a infection on the skin, while itching, it's just a pleasurable feeling while itching. But actually what it happens, it deepens, it just extravagate the condition of the disease. It will spread throughout the skin while itching, scratching the body. It while scratching, while itching, it gives the feeling of pleasure, but ultimately the disease will be worsened. So similar, Buddha talking similarly about the sensualities also. While we experience in the sensual pleasures, at the beginning we feel comfort or the blessing or the blissfulness, but what actually happens is that it will corrupting and defiling our mind. Just like the person who's having skin disease, while itching, while scratching, the disease worsened. It is not a good thing. Similarly, while we experiencing sensualities, we feel better at beginning, but what is happening, it will corrupting our mind and we will collecting much unwholesome thoughts. That means we do have this tendency to be reborn in the bad destinations. That's the nature of the defilements. And that we talk about, it's about the lust. The other part is the anger. When anger or hatred, vengeance arise in our mind, what it happens, it will destroy our mind. If you have anger, then what will happen, we cannot even maintain the calmness in the body as well as in the mind. When the anger appears in the mind, it will not give any comfort to us. It will burning our mind and body. So when we don't have anger, then we can have a blissful and happy mind. Ultimately, the ignorance or the not knowing the realities of the world, of the existence, that is the hardest one to understand. Every dukkha happens because of that. So those are the basic defilements of the mind. So Buddha was talking about the corrupting of the mind with these defilements. That's what called okarang sankilesikang. Then Buddha just talking about the release or the renouncing or giving up of the defilements. And ultimately, when the mind is suitable to understand the Dhamma, at that time Buddha preached the Four Noble Truths and the deep Dhamma factors in order to get the enlightenment, give the enlightenment to the persons. So that's how Buddha was just preaching the Dhamma. So somehow, accordingly, Buddha understood, Buddha, with his supernormal capabilities, he was known about this Mahakala, and according to the minds of the Mahakala, Buddha preached Dhamma to him. So he understood the Dhamma and he immediately decided to become the monk. So he went to the Buddha and asked the permission to become a monk. So at that time, Buddha just said to him, if you want the ordination, then you need to have the permission from your family. So then at that time, as a family member, he had only that younger brother, Chulakala, the youngest brother. So he went to him and he told him that he's going to become a monk, and all the positions of the Mahakala he just delivered to the Chulakala or the youngest brother. So after hearing the situation of the elder brother, younger brother also just decided to become a monk. The Mahakala, he decided to become a monk. He truly understands the Dhamma. With genuine purpose of getting the liberation, he became a monk. But on the other hand, Chulakala, he was not just like that. He also decided to become the monk, but in his mind, he had the feeling that, he had the thought that after I becoming a monk, after a while, I will take back my brother. So he wanted to, disrobe his elder brother. So by thinking that, he just became a monk. So then both the brother became monks, and they were known as Mahakala and Chulakala. After becoming monks, Mahakala was diligently practicing the Dhamma, and he was able to achieve the liberation, total liberation. But the Chulakala is not like that. He was just spending time without doing any meditation, and while just thinking about the families, thinking about the sensualities, thinking about his former wives, he was just spending the time. So one day, both the brother monks and the Buddha were happened to visit their hometown. So at that time, the former wives of the Chulakala monk, they heard the arrival of their former husbands. So they decided to make a plan, and by preparing that plan, they just went to the Buddha and invited them for an almsgiving in their home. So former two wives of the Chulakala, they arranged almsgiving, and they invited the Buddha and the Sangha. So there is a practice that when there is a almsgiving ceremony, so prior to that day, one bhikkhu, one monk has to go for the arrangements, because when the Buddha was there, then Buddha has to prepare a separate seat for the Buddha, and if there's a chief disciples, if there are chief disciples attending, Venerable Sariputta and Moggallana, for them there has to be separate seats. Likewise, sitting arrangements has to be done. So because of that, one bhikkhu has to go prior to the events. So Buddha asked Chulakala to go for that. So Chulakala went, and he was arranging the alms ceremony. So while the arrangement was happening, his former wives just encircled him and just disrobed him. Since he was not diligent monk, he was not a diligent monk, he just let them to disrobe him. So after removing the robes, the former wife just asked him to wear the white clothes as a layperson, and they also just asked him to wear a wreath on his head. he just willingly let them to happen that. So he went to the home as a bhikkhu, but he came out from the home as a lay person. So as a lay person, he came to the Buddha and just asked the Buddha and informed the Buddha that already that that event is organized. So Buddha with the Sangha came and attended to the arms ceremony, and it was successfully finished. So this news heard by the Mahakala's Mahakala Bhikkhu's former 8 wives also, and they also thought to do the same thing to their former husband. By thinking so, they invited the Buddha and the Sangha for another day to a alms ceremony. So at that time, without sending Mahakala Bhikkhu to the home for the arrangement, Buddha was just sending another Bhikkhu in order to arrange the alms ceremony. So then, Buddha and the Sangha they were invited, and they were attending to the alms ceremony. The event was successfully end, and while at the end of the event, the former 8 wives of the Mahakala Thero just came to the Buddha and asked from the Buddha. They wanted to listen the anumodana, or the appreciative talks from the Mahakala Bhikkhu. So they requested, and they also requested from the Buddha that others has to leave. Buddha and the other monks has to be leaved. So accordingly, Buddha just allowed Mahakala to stay and other bhikkhus to just leave the home. So while the Buddha and the other bhikkhus leaving, on the way to the monastery, bhikkhus were discussing, why Buddha has done this, because the last time Buddha allowed the Chulakala to go that home and he lost his monkhood. This time again Buddha was just allowing this Mahakala Thero also to stay in the home. Then Buddha knowingly just letting the loose of the monkhood of the Mahakala. In that way bhikkhus were discussing. So at that time, once all the Buddha and the monks were returned to the monastery, Buddha was asking from the bhikkhus, what were you discussing? At that time they said what they have been discussing. And at that time that was the time Buddha began to preach these 2 sermons. Buddha said, first verse with regard to the monk of Chulakala. Subhanupassī viharantang indriyesu asangutang bhojanam yamattanyung kusitang hina viriyang tang me pasahati maro vato rukkhaṅ dubbalanti. As I explained in the beginning, the weakest or the bad practitioners, lethargic practitioners, they always subhanupassī viharantang. That means they always they always concern only the pleasant side of the sensualities. That's what called subhanupassī viharantang. And also indriyesu asangutang. They are not maintaining the restrainment of the sensual objects. Kusitang, they are very lethargic. Hina viriyang, they having the less or the lawful nature of perseverance or the determination or the courage. Tang me pasahati maro, that type of a person, that type of a practitioner easily overwhelmed by the defilements in the mind. Just like a weak tree easily overcome by the powerful wind, powerful tornado, such kind of a aggressive powerful wind, it can easily be overpowered or overturned a weak tree. If it is a rotten tree, decayed tree, easily be fallen when there was a huge or the powerful wind. So that type of person, the person who's weak in those characteristics, those features, he's just like a weak tree, can be easily overpowered by the defilements in the mind. So Buddha uttered that verse with regard to the monk called Chulakala. And the second verse Buddha preached with regard to the monk called Mahakala. The earnest practitioner like Mahakala, they are just like this. Asubhanupassi viharantang. That means they always consider the repulsive nature of the body. It's a way of practicing samatha. While practicing samatha, there are 40 subjects of meditation. Out of 40, one practice known as Asubhanupassana. That means, as I explained, it considers the 32 body parts, both the external as well as in the internal. And it has defiled or the repulsive nature. Just seeing from the surface, we can see our body is beautiful. If you are a being, while you observing, while you confronting a beautiful pretty woman or a handsome person, attachment or the desire or the lust suddenly arise in the mind. But if you dive deep into the body, if you deeply concern about the true nature of the body, if you just penetrate from the skin into the inside of the body, you could see the bloods, pus, bones and other internal body parts. Those are repulsive. We cannot, very difficult to even see. That it begins to give us hard feelings, because we don't even like to see them, because they are very ugly. But without knowing that, by just surfacely looking the surface, but we see the pretty nature only. So that is a hindrance. When we practicing bhavana, our purpose is to get the jhana or the samadhi. To get the samadhi, the first hindrance, the first obstacle is the kama chanda. Kama chanda mean, kama mean this sensualities, and chanda mean the likeness of the sensualities. That is one of the greatest obstacles to overcome. So that's in order to overcome that desire, that the sensual likeness, we practice Asubhanupassana. So when we consider the repulsiveness of the body, while dividing the body into 32 parts, it will facilitate our mind to reduce the sensual attachment, sensual likeness. Then it will facilitate, or it just paves the path in order to get the samadhi easily. So that's why earnest practitioner just contemplating the repulsiveness of the body, that's called Asubhanupassana. And also Indriyesu Susamutang, that means he maintains the restrainment of the senses. especially while seeing, while hearing, while smelling, while tasting, while experiencing the touches through the body. We have to be mindful and we have to be controlled. We should know the intake while through those senses we experiencing the world. We without mindfulness, without awareness, if we let all the feelings, all the thoughts to just arise without mindfulness, without mindfully, then it will corrupt our mind. So then we cannot have a good mind. So it's just like when there's a food, if we are hungry, if we are going to intake, if we are going to take in all the foods, what will happen? Without selecting whatever the foods we confront, if we are going to eat all of them, what will happen? It will just give so many diseases. And it is, if we take all the food, then it cannot be digested easily. So while eating, we should know the limits. We should know what we should let what we should let in and what we shouldn't let get in. So we have to maintain that intake. That's why in that way only we can maintain a healthy digestive system. In a similar manner, as a practitioner, while seeing things, while seeing objects, then we have to be very aware about the intake from the eye, what we just let in to the mind. So if we see a beautiful thing, then if the mind filled with attachment, that means we are letting in the defilements to arise. That means we are not maintaining the controlling on the eye sense. So as a practitioner, we just not see all the objects that we can see. We see only we can see while living. We have to observe things from the eye, but we keep our attention only what is necessary, only to the necessary things. That's how we maintain the controlling of the eye. Similarly, we have to control the ear also. While listening, we not listening all the things. While listening music, it gives us a pleasurable feeling at the beginning, but it will gradually disturb the mind, disturb the tranquility in the mind. So we have to be controlled. We have to control the input while listening also. Similar thing has to be maintained while tasting food, while smelling things, as well as while getting the experience of touches from the body, as well as from the mind also. We have to maintain that restrainment. That is very important practitioner as a good practitioner. Then Indriya Susangutang as a then Saddhang. Beginning also I explained Saddha means Saddhati Tathagatassa Bodhi. That means we understand the Buddha. Why the Buddha appeared to this world? Because all as human beings, as beings, we have the suffering. That means maybe we may having enough wealth, enough education, good family background, but still we are falling under the trap of aging, illnesses, sicknesses, at the end the death. So we cannot overcome, we cannot evade those things. So Buddha just appeared to this world in order to find a place where there is no aging, no sicknesses, no death. So that's called the Nibbana, or the true liberation. So Buddha appeared to just to show that path to get the full liberation. Then in that liberation, we don't have any kind of dissatisfaction, discontentment, or any kind of negative emotions in the mind. So that's why Buddha appeared to this world. So in order to get that state, we need to understand, we need to listen Dhamma. That's why Dhamma appeared to this world. So those who are diligently practicing those teachings according to the Buddha, known as the Sangha. So those are the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. So then we are not just believing the Buddha or the Dhamma or the Sangha. We know exactly what the purpose of taking the refuge of the Buddha, Dhamma and the Sangha. Basically that is known as the Saddha. And also Aradha Virya. Aradha means initiated. Virya means energy, or the encouragement, or the perseverance. You know, there are so many types of words can be used to explain the term virya. So the same level of virya has to be maintained at the beginning as well as in the middle as well as at the end. You know, when we are going in a journey with a vehicle, with the time, vehicle consume the fuel and it will, you know, it will be finished in the middle. So once fuel get finished, we have to refuel it, we have to replenish it. Similarly, you know, the energy also, you know, with the time as a practitioner, it will decline. Whether we are aware or not, it is the nature of, it is like fuel. It's, you know, with the time, with the time, it will gradually decrease or decline. So at that time, we have to maintain the, you know, similar in the journey. Similarly, while in the journey, we have to refuel the fuel. Otherwise, we cannot complete the journey. Similarly, energy also the same. At the beginning, it's full, but with the time, it will gradually decrease. So we have to refill the energy. So that's why we have to, you know, mindfully, we have to know that whether I am having energy or not. So if I don't have enough energy, then I have to be energetic at that time, willfully. So energy has to be, energy is a thing that to be maintained willingly by a practitioner. That's why it's called Aradha Virya. Aradha means we have to maintain the same level of energy at the beginning, in the middle as well as at the end. Tangve nappa sahati maro. So that type of a practitioner was not able to overpowered by the defilements or the corruptions arise in the mind. It is just like a rocky mountain, cannot be moved, cannot be shaken by the wind. So Buddha, while Buddha was preaching that sermon, that verse at the time, similarly, Venerable Mahakala, he is already enlightened being. He was, at that time, he was presenting the appreciative talk in the home, Anumodana. So while performing the Anumodana, he was encircled by his former wives and tried to disrobe him. But as he was enlightened already with supernormal capabilities, he just rose into the sky and flown through the roof of the house and just appeared before the Buddha. So at the same time, Buddha finished the verses, and it said that so many monks were benefited through these two verses. Some were even attained the Sotapatti fruitions also. So that is the the Dhammapada story that we discussed today. So those are the things, those are the lessons can be learned through this Dhamma talk. So these lessons you also try to apply into your day-to-day life, especially as I explained. Practice the repulsiveness of the body or the Asubhanupassana and restrainment of the senses, as well as maintain the saddha or the confidence of the Buddha Dhamma Sangha, and as well as you try to maintain the energy or the virya, then you can have a mind, defilements cannot be overpowered. So just try to practice according to the Dhammapada verse. So today with that we are coming to the end of the sermon. The virtues and merits that we have gained through these noble Dhamma talks, firstly we just partake, we just share with our teachers with the permission from them to mention their names, Venerable Mankadawala Sudassana Thero, as well as Venerable Mankadawala Nandaratana Thero, as well as Venerable Kothmali Kumara Kassapa Thero. May my teachers may share these merits, and may they be well, be happy, and may they be able to liberate from this horrible samsaric journey. As well as all the devas may share these merits, all the devas, all the divine beings who are in the human worlds as well as in the higher celestial realms, may they share these merits, and may they be well, be happy, and be able to achieve the supreme bliss of Nibbana. As well as the deceased one or the past relatives of our lives, of our Dhamma friends, all of those deceased or the passed away relatives may share these merits, and may they be well, be happy, and may they receive a good destination, and may they be able to attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana with these merits. And finally, I bless you with these merits to all of you. Have a blissful and blissful life, and all of you, all of the Dhamma friends, all of who practicing the Dhamma well, be happy, and all of them, all of you be able to attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana soon with these merits and the blessings of the infinite blessings of the Buddha, Dhamma and the Sangha. So Teruvan Saranai to everyone. Abhivadana Silissa Nichang Vaddhapachayino Chattaro Dhamma Vaddhanti Ayuvanno Sukhang Balang Ayu Arogya Sampatti Sagga Sampatti Mevacha Atho Nibbana Sampatti Iminate Samijhatu.